Okay, so where are we at? Resurrection part 4, I think. So I got my headlight connectors, fellas, if you recall, both headlights inoperative. Troubleshot it down to just the connectors rotten, both sides, unbelievable. But we'll do a wee bit of autopsy on the ones that actually come off the car, and we'll see the state they're actually in. That'll be the most interesting part of the video, but this is all pretty straightforward stuff. Yes, the world famous Dorman. I've never bought any Dorman parts, but the boys in especially the States seem to be none too fond of these guys. But they have provided me with the correct connector, and we'll see, unlike the originals, there's a weather pack on the grommet, if you will, on the contacts. I don't believe the originals actually have a grommet, which I think contributed to the issue. So there's the part number. I don't know, hope you can see it. And they are effective for the SX4, of course, for the guys that are in the know and actually care. I actually use 9007 lamps. So just a few points of interest. Make it easy on yourself. Do the work that you can on the bench. Only 2 points of interest I actually want to point out here, boys. Cut it to length. Ideally these would be staggered, but I don't have a great deal of harness to work with, so they're going to be basically in a cluster. Ideally they'd be staggered if I had lots of harness to work with. Do the work on the bench. You might as well do this portion at the bench as opposed to at the car, right? And if you get nothing out of it, make sure you use the heat shrinkable. Don't even think of using a standard butt connector in an environment that's going to be subjected to, in an outside environment, especially in Canada, where it's going to be subjected to all kinds of salt and salt spray, and primarily that's the issue, is moisture, salt. Use the heat shrinkable. Don't use your lighter. You'll set your car on fire or your garage or something. Get a heat gun. These things are dirt cheap these days, guys. Get your brothers, get your neighbors, whatever. Try to refrain from using a lighter or a blowtorch or something. Firstly, it's difficult to control the amount of heat that you can exert on the splice, and it's not going to make for a quality job. And you can cook the harness as well, right? So ideally use a heat gun. So there's the new connector actually spliced into the harness there, guys. I just cut it back a bit. Obviously I'm going to tape this all up when it's ready to be fixed in position. As I said, there's the heat shrinkable splices all shrunk up. Minimal chance of water intrusion there, so hopefully the splice stays healthy for as long as possible. Make sure you lift the ground. I've got it just sitting back on there for testing purposes. I'm going to show you momentarily the power and ground configuration on this. Make sure you lift the ground off the battery, or at least pull the fuse, because as we see, if you may or may not recall when we reviewed the schematic, there's power on the center pin at all times. It's the relays that actually apply the ground, depending on whether you want low beam or high beam configuration. So we'll take a look at that. I'll just show you that, and then hopefully it'll show you it functional. But I'm hopeful, let's put it that way. Okay, so I just want to show you the configuration on the connector here, guys. The headlights are not selected on at the moment. The battery ground is actually back on. I have the alligator clip going to battery negative at the moment. So the outboard pins, we should have nothing. There's nothing. And as I said, even with the headlights turned off, that's why I'm telling you to lift the battery or pull the fuse for the respective headlight, or both headlights, in my case if you're doing them both. So we have ground at all time, or sorry, power at all times on the center pin, and again nothing on the outboard pins. Let me show you, or actually the outboard and the inboard pin I should say. Now let me go a battery positive with the alligator clip. I'll turn the headlights on. Okay, so the headlights are on, guys. The test light is on battery positive. So if we pick up a ground, let me get a decent ground here if I can find one. You see that? Is it in frame? Yeah, there we go. If I have a decent ground, we should have the green LED lit. So again, to the center pin, which is powered at all times, we have nothing, of course. No LED is lit because I'm on battery positive with the alligator clip. I need a ground to get a green LED. So do we have a ground on this one? So that should be the high beam terminal. We should have a green LED on this one, and we do. So far so good. I'll go to the high beam mode, and it should bring on this LED now and extinguish the green LED on this side and extinguish the other. Can I get that situated so you can see? Maybe. Is it still in frame? Yeah, kinda. Okay, high beams, low beam, high beam, low beam. So you get the idea. So the low beam ground is removed. Sorry, the high beam ground is removed, and the low beam ground should be there. And of course, let me just switch back to battery negative, and we should be able to check the positive here, and we know we have positive at all times. That's why I'm telling you, lift the ground or remove the fuses. There's positive here at all times, even with the headlights selected off. Be aware of that. There you go. You can see that is actually completely severed. It was hanging by nothing more than the insulation. So of course that's the 12 volt supply that comes in. And look, yeah, even the ground. And there's this one. This one's in a very, very similar state. Look. Verdigris. Am I pronouncing that right? I don't know. Copper oxide. Not much copper left. Oh, I stand corrected. There is a grommet inside. Sorry, Suzuki. I should have known better. There is a grommet inside. Look at the state of that wire there. That one's... Look. I couldn't even find a ground with my meter or the test light, and that's why. That's dirty. This one might have had a ground. A couple of strands. A couple of strands left on that. I don't think it's going to carry much load. And that is just completely bitched. Yeah, and right where the wire contacts the back shell. All right, another interesting thought. Oh, by the way, I should point out when I was showing you the pinout, the power and the ground configuration, that was only applicable to the right-hand headlight. The left hand is actually slightly different. The ground is there on both pins in the high and the low beam mode, but there's also power. The power transitions to a ground on the one pin, so this is slightly different. What I showed you is only applicable to the right-hand headlight. The drawing I have is not applicable to Canadian cars. Not shown on that drawing is the daytime running lights, so it's clearly slightly different, okay? Another thing I found very, very strange is they have bent over backwards. There's two, I showed you inside, there's two fuses. There's two relays for the low beam, two relays for the high beam. All the wiring is all split. The lamp itself, of course, is common in the sense that there's two filaments within the lamp, but everything else is basically split. But the redundancy all goes for a crap at this common ground stud right here. So yeah, they've done it their way to make it redundant so you don't have a dual failure of the headlights. But if that ground stud there floats, everything, all bets are off. You're going to lose all the headlight modes, low and high beam and flash. Everything is going to be gone. We bet you shortcoming in the design there. Maybe good enough for the automotive industry, but yeah, that would never fly. Somebody will get that joke. Okay, that's the test. Low beam, high beam. Always nice to have headlights. There's my clock from the late 1800s. I'll tell you that story another night. If there's any horologists out there. Yeah, you know, Scotland's known around the world for its whiskey, of course, but I tell you, Canada makes damn good whiskey too. Cheers, boys.